This week on Socratic Cinema, I guess that's our content warning here, is that if we inspire you to go see this movie, there's some tasteful nudity.
I mean, they have this weird, insatiable desire to like consume caviar and truffles on everything, and it's wrong. It's incorrect, and Shake Shack is too fancy.
Captain Haddock. I like the picture where Captain Haddock is at the table, and he's like,
Yes.
"Crazy week, wasn't it?" He goes, "Captain, it's Wednesday." Well. And then there were two. Am I right, Charlie?
Oh, yes. It's boys' night, baby, on the Socratic Cinema podcast.
How's it going, men? It's me, James DeLisio, joined by my only co-host,
Charlie Heatherly.
And welcome back to the manliest podcast on the block, the Socratic Cinema podcast. It's a boys' night tonight. It's just me and Charlie against the world here, going solo dolo for tonight. Talk about Wes Anderson's newest drop, The French Dispatch. Oh,
and
Casey,
also, wait, before we go in any further, Casey's not off the podcast. We would like to clarify.
She will be back. She will be back.
It is just this episode.
This is
due
not
to unfortunate scheduling. We
Yes.
promise boys' night is only one night, which is why we gotta make it crazy.
We have to make it count, bro. It's our only chance.
She can't inhibit us any longer.
I know.
Our testosterone will explode.
Who will stop us before we say something really offensive? No, but tonight is boys' night. Like Charlie said, there's no ill will.
Yes.
Casey will be back next week. It's just stuff didn't work out. So she did see the movie. She saw French Dispatch. Don't worry. But it's just Charlie and I. Maybe what if this was one of those movies that she wasn't like gonna see unless we did an episode on it? So then she like paid to go to the movies to see it, and now she's not even.
Yeah, she just really didn't like it.
She was like, I would feel really bad, dude.
No, but how do you not like this movie?
Yeah, speaking of which, let's it's not really like a roundtable thing anymore. Charlie, what did you think about the French Dispatch?
Okay. French Dispatch. All right. First sentence. Second sentence, Wes Anderson. Third sentence, really freaking good. I saw French Dispatch at the theater that adjoins Grauman's Chinese Theater. I believe that's how you pronounce Grauman. I don't know. I've never actually seen it written, but the Chinese Theater in Hollywood. So I was really in the mood for like a great film because I was around so many, classic artifacts of film, and I was not disappointed. French Dispatch, I came out of the theater and I was like, this is maybe Wes Anderson's best work. And then Fantastic Mr. Fox grabbed my memory and said, hold on. Calm down for a second.
Yeah.
So I calmed down. This is like one of his best movies. And I think one that spoke a lot to me because the entire movie is essentially an ode to print journalism and to Wes Anderson's relationship with the New Yorker as he read their articles a lot growing up. And I think that this connected to me, not in the sense that I read the New Yorker, but I have a lot of journalists who are heroes to me, or people that I think are very inspirational. And I think that Wes Anderson was able to create a story that touched on a lot of what I think makes them so admirable and so just great to look up to in very specific instances. Because as we see with the journalists here, there's always like some darker elements going on, or always some weird quirks. But really entertaining film, very densely packed with story and visual gags and just real creativity. This is Wes Anderson and his most Wes Anderson. You've probably heard that critique 1,000 times if you've watched any other French Dispatch videos, because I've been reading through, and that's the thing that they started all off with. But we're going to give you some fresh hot takes this time. One's concerning Tintin as well. Talk a little bit about, I got some Tintin takes.
He's got
throw in here.
Some tin takes.
Some Tintin.
Takes about Tintin.
Oh God!
Well,
we're gonna devolve.
Yeah, this is exactly what's gonna happen. Out of 10.
Ooh, this gets a 9.5. I really enjoyed myself watching this movie. Like really enjoyed myself.
For real? Just like that. So I saw this movie. Unlike Dune, I did see this movie in a theater because I had no other choice.
There we go.
I saw it at an AMC, and I got a Tuesday night discount. And it was really good, guys. It was really, really good. I haven't seen that much Wes Anderson. Have you?
Uh, let's see here. We did what's the one
Moonrise
we did?
Kingdom.
Yeah, we did Moonrise Kingdom. I've seen Fantastic Mr. Fox. I've seen Grand Budapest Hotel. I've seen a little bit of no, I've seen all of Royal Tenenbaums, Steve Zissou. I've seen a lot.
Oh, geez. I've only seen Moonrise Kingdom and Fantastic Mr. Fox when it came out in theaters when I was like 8. So that's it.
Yeah.
But I really like Moonrise Kingdom, and I really liked French Dispatch. I love anthologies, and so
Yes.
didn't know this movie was an anthology. I didn't know anything about this movie, to be quite honest. I loved seeing all these random celebrities who I never thought were in the movie pop up. Like that was a recurring thing. Charlie's right. It's very dense, like just stuff constantly happening. Someone I watched it with pointed out that like this is a movie that you probably need to see a second time just because there's absolutely stuff you missed the first time. Just because the way he writes dialogue is that people just talk so fast and their like sentences are so packed full of like little tidbits of information that you like blink and you miss it. And I was so like busy trying to just make sure I was following the actual plot of the story because it's kind of convoluted at points that I'm sure I missed so much just like great witty writing. No, but it was really funny. Surprisingly like it wasn't graphic, but it was much more adult than I knew Wes Anderson to be.
Yeah, very mature.
Like I said, I only know Fantastic Mr. Fox and Moonrise Kingdom. I guess that's our content warning here is that if we inspire you to go see this movie, there's some tasteful nudity.
I mean, not a negative, but you know.
I'm just pointing it out. I was just letting you know because I had no idea.
I forgot my dad watches these podcasts for just a quick second.
Way to go, Chuck.
I mean, honestly, my dad would probably be proud of me for saying that. But yeah, hi, father.
Oh my gosh. But no, I mean, I wasn't expecting that. Like like I said, I knew nothing about this movie. So like 5 minutes in, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. I saw this with a group of 3 women. So I was sitting there. I was looking tastefully at the top left corner of the screen. Very beautiful work Anderson does in his top lefts. Yeah.
But it was really good, and I would probably second the 9.5. I do think not all pieces of the anthology were created equal. I will say I definitely have like favorites and least favorites, and parts of the movie I liked more than
Let's start there.
So I think that's a good idea.
There's 4 anthologies in this.
I'd say like 3.5. The first one was kind of like,
So 3.5, right? You have the French Dispatch office at the very beginning, which is half the bicycle trip around. It's Blasé, France. Is that what it? No, ennui. Yes.
what
Sorry.
French word for like distaste?
Yes, right. But that's sort of like the half one because that's like an introduction and then also a little bit of the show around the city. There's the concrete masterpiece, which is about the artist. That's where all the nudity happens. The artist who's insane and he's drawing pictures of his prison guard. We have revisions to a manifesto with Timothy Shamalama Ding Dong.
And Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Incredible casting, I think, personally.
Yeah, no, wonderful.
And then the private dining room of the police commissioner. The final one where we get a fun story about a food journalist who gets caught into a police caper. So my question, James, how do you order these?
How do I like
at best? No, let's do worst to best.
Okay, worst to best. Okay, I think there's a correct answer for which one's the best.
Okay, wait. So let's say it on 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Police
Concrete
commissioner.
Master.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I would probably go the best for me. All right. Worst to best.
Yes.
Revisions to a manifesto. Then the bike one.
Really?
Then it's hard. I think the bike one and the police chef one are tied to me.
Whoa.
But because I really liked both of them, but I think Concrete Masterpiece was the best.
Very interesting.
That's my take.
Okay. I would like to preface my rating by saying I really like all of these.
Oh yeah, they were all really good.
Yeah. So it's not like this one is sucky and this one's phenomenal. All of them are really good. Personally, I think the bike one, which was very quaint and fun, was a perfect introduction because it gripped me, but I think it was the least interesting to me. I would then put Revisions to a Manifesto because I thought that had some really interesting questions about youth, which is what Wes Anderson typically deals with in a lot of his other films. And I think this was a fun, fresh take on that. Then I would put Concrete Masterpiece. And I thought that would be my favorite in the movie. And then we got to the final story of the police commissioner, the private dining room of the police commissioner. And that one touched me in a very specific way because of my love for Anthony Bourdain. And I'll go in a little bit as to why that all sorts out. But let's talk about, I think it's fun if we talk about the Concrete Masterpiece first.
Yeah, what if we go,
there's dialogue.
What if we go in like order of the movie?
Order of the movie? Okay, so then let's start off with Bike.
Right, Bike. Story 1. Story 0.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say I really was missing more of, oh my gosh, Bill Murray. I wanted more from him.
Bill Murray was really... Well, so Bill Murray's sort of like... he's similar to Owen Wilson in a lot of Wes Anderson's movies, so he has to be there. If he's not there, it's not a, it's not a Wes Anderson movie. But I think that Bill Murray really killed it in this role. And I mean, like he does every role. So I agree with you. He should have been in it for a lot longer.
Yeah, and I think it would have made the sort of impact of his, like all the journalists coming together to write his obituary at the end. I think that would have had a bit more of an impact if we had more of Bill Murray, just like a little more. Not you don't need to go overboard, but
I think 5 minutes max more. I would have really just liked. I think some more connection, because we get a lot of connection in the police commissioner one. I think more connection inside of Concrete Masterpiece and Revisions to a Manifesto. I would have enjoyed.
Yeah. I second that. But the opening, I thought was really good. I also think just that very opening montage of like, I will say the first 10 minutes of the film, it took me a while to like figure out what the setup was, like what the framing was. Because again, I knew as close to zero as you can get about this movie. I didn't know Timothée Chalamet was in it, but I knew pretty much zero about this movie. So I was trying to figure out like, okay, wait, so this is a newspaper that's in France, but it's actually in Kentucky. And it's also the guy's dead. So this is like the last issue, but we're going back in time to see the stories that are in the last, like it took me a minute to get it straight. Not a bad thing. But just this movie is very, from second one, it is very packed with information, and there's a lot of sort of like overlapping time frames that I think threw me for a little bit of a loop, just like trying to figure that out. That's a thing I noticed Wes Anderson does a lot, is there's a lot of like stories within stories within stories.
Yes.
Where there'll just be like, basically like flashback within a flashback within a flashback kind of thing. Which is really fun and really interesting in this movie, but it was definitely confusing for me. It's like you jump in the deep end.
No, that's definitely fair. I think that it reminds me a lot of the way that string boards work for like those conspiracy theories where you pin one point of the string to like one piece of evidence. And then, it sort of feels like he starts at one point and then it sort of spirals into itself, and then you get out of that whirlpool and the story keeps on going. But it adds a lot of motion to his stories and a lot of energy to them that I really enjoy.
It's always moving. It's a kinetic film.
Kinetic. Phenomenal word for that.
Thank you. I try. No, but I really liked the Owen Wilson bike tour of the city. I think it was a perfect way to start the movie. And I'm a sucker for like, how do I put this? Like prose about places.
Yes.
Like
oh my God.
Things about worlds and locations.
Yes. No, we've had this conversation privately before, right?
We have. It was a conversation about Westerns and how they're love letters to the land. or just stories about land in general, I think are really interesting. Um, and this to me was that. Uh, I thought it was a very funny, quirky, painting of this town that we sort of got. It was really, I think, sort of started to it set the tone for the humor of the movie. It
Yeah.
had,
Wonderful slapstick in that first sequence. And it had a lot of very interesting ways of communicating information that I think play into the overall film's presentation of it like a play, almost with different acts. Like very much so when I see Owen Wilson, pull the light on the subway and then the rats come up. It feels, and the rats are very obviously like not real. Like they're incredibly stylized. The sets don't look, super, or that specific set doesn't look super lived in or super real, but I still get a lot of storytelling from it. And I think weirdly enough, it's also taking some cues from theme park design and putting it into there. I don't know. I can't explain why, but that little train ride made me feel like I was on some sort of Disney ride where they like light up the thing at the exact right moment. And they use lighting and all these different ways of framing information to give you a different take on the room, I suppose.
I get that. I think it was very like, this was probably some of the more impressive like cinematography in the movie. And this is a visually impressive movie. This one shot sticks out to me. It's like a huge wide shot of the building, and there's the waiter holding like the tray at the very beginning, and he's like going up the stairs, and you see him go in one part of the building, and then like a few seconds later he's like walking up some stairs a few stories up. And
yeah,
that was really good. And just a lot of really elaborate set pieces like that I thought was wonderful. And it also, the bike tour to me set up the slapstick that Wes Anderson has a lot of, but also the sort of dry, verbose humor. There was one part where he talks about like altar boys, having consumed the host and drunk on the blood of Christ, wait for their victims to come around the corners. And I was like, yeah, that's such rich prose. That's something I thought about a lot in this movie, is like, it feels sort of, tongue in cheek to say, but it feels like these characters are reading from scripts, which, they are, because it's a movie. But it's like, imagine if everyone talked that way, I want to have that rich of a vocabulary.
Oh my gosh. Well, and that's why it's such a beautiful ode to print journalism, is because that's what the best writers sound like. Here's the second journalist reference that I will make. Hunter S. Thompson. If you don't know him, that's totally fine. He's the inventor of a style called Gonzo Journalism, which is very self-effacing, self-referential, and just weird, opinionated, crazy, loony. I mean, this guy would do drugs in the desert and write about it. He covered like biker gangs. He covered elections in a very Hunter S. Thompson. Hard drinker, hard smoker, very interesting guy. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a story about him. It's a book that he wrote. So Hunter S. Thompson is a hero to me, not in that he's a good person, because he's not. But I think that he has such a beautiful way of just communicating information. And it's exactly what you say. It's this rich vocabulary. It's this rich verboseness where you can use terms that aren't really associated with what you're talking about in such a way where it paints a clearer image than like using simple adjectives. And I feel like I got that a lot in this movie. And I also feel like I just got that sort of spark of energy, that spark of insanity in some of these stories, specifically the concrete artist one, which I think is the reason why I liked it so much. But I think that Hunter S. Thompson is probably one of the best examples of how the written word can be so powerful, specifically in print journalism. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see that power was not hindered by movies being a visual medium. It was enhanced. Anderson does a wonderful job of using narration as like an actually good tool, when typically, it's always this thing that is bad and like it's a cheap way out. Here, it's not a cheap way out. It is a necessity and something that I think brings a whole lot of emotion to the film and really is the core of all of its meaning. It's in the narration. It's in the prose. And I think that the visual metaphors and the visual storytelling is just a way to enhance that prose.
True. So true, bestie. Um,
Yes.
I do think that the narration was possibly the most on point in the police chef one,
Yes.
by like a good margin. Because that was, I mean, narration is sort of tied to that one intrinsically. That I mean, it's basically a story read aloud. Sorry, yes, I talk for I was gonna say a living, but I don't.
$60 a month.
Don't leak our numbers. Um, I
We can buy 3 burgers with that in Los Angeles.
oh my gosh, that's sad because it's true. Um,
No,
gosh.
dude, I went to Shake Shack yesterday.
Oh yeah, well that was your first mistake.
That was oh my God. I've been having a blood war with people at USC between like the debate between Shake Shack and In-N-Out. And it's going to escalate to like armed conflict. Like I'm going to go full chess revolution on these people.
Yeah, I was about to make that joke. Yeah. It's In-N-Out though. It's In-N-Out. It's In-N-Out all the way. The price, you can't, okay. Shake Shack's burgers are maybe better quality, but you cannot beat the In-N-Out price. Like,
no,
it's what, like $3 for a double?
No, you can't beat the price. The animal fries are the best fries. Like
True,
just period. Like just anywhere. They're the best fries. It's the price, it's the quality, and it just feels like home, you know?
Yeah. Shake Shack is like a little too shishi, you know?
Yeah.
It's like shishi. Yeah. It's like, okay, dude, you put like a garlic mushroom aioli on your burger. Like, I get it. In-N-Out is like, no. Bun, patty, lettuce, onion, like, you know what you are here for. It's good. It's fast. It's warm. It's fresh, right? They don't need to tell you it's a Wagyu blend smash burger.
Thank you.
Right? No, it's a hamburger.
Shake Shack is so New York, and I'm sorry to our New York audience. I'm going to hate on you for just 1 second. It's so pish posh and so hipster, which is what you typically associate with LA, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. New York hipsters are on a different level. They have this weird, insatiable desire to like consume caviar and truffles on everything. And it's wrong. It's incorrect. And Shake Shack is too fancy. All right? I've had enough.
Spit it.
Enough.
Yes, tell them.
I told them.
You told them.
We lost 100% of our audience there. So, you know, now it's just us talking to a void.
We lost 100% of 0% of our New York audience.
Oh God, we're gonna get so many I'm so good at doing that for these videos, is getting dislikes on controversial takes. That was the one. No more controversial takes for this episode.
Yeah, and I also realized I sort of broke our like thing where we were gonna go chronologically, but if we learned anything from Aladdin, it's that going chronologically is not a good idea.
Yep.
Typically.
Nope.
How did you feel about Timmy Tam Shamalam in this movie?
Ooh, Timmy Tam Shamalam. So Timmy Tam Shamalam, I think, produced a admirable performance. I really like him. Definitely not, I think, as great as Paul Atreides was to me.
No.
And I hear a lot of people say that Paul is very boring in Dune. I disagree. I think that Timothée Chalamet does a really good job as Paul, and I get a lot of the frailty of him, and also at the same time a lot of that hidden power. Like, yes. I feel like he carries himself really well when he needs to, and he carries himself very poorly when he needs to.
Yes, gives very, very, very tortured boy.
Yes, super tortured boy. And in this movie, I get a very whimsical performance from him. I have no negative criticisms, but I think that he fell in with everybody being a really good performance. The person that I think is standout is Jeffrey Wright as Roebuck Wright, and Bill Murray's very good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Roebuck Wright was which character in this movie?
He was the journalist in The Police Commissioner.
Oh, yeah. That was the best performance, I would say, like by a pretty good margin. Yeah, I thought Timbaldi Chardonnay was like okay. Oh no, I thought he was more than okay. I thought he was really good. This was a very it reminded me a lot of his performance in Lady Bird. That sort of like too cool for
take.
you teen. Yeah, thank you. We're like self-congratulating.
It's so easy. We don't have Casey to like take away our egos.
I was like, it's a good one, Charlie. Tell him. But no, it was really good. And that was like sort of a lighter, more charming story. That was that's the thing is each of these stories in the anthology were very distinct. I think each one stood on their own really well. And they all, to me, had the interesting effect of feeling a lot longer than they were.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to anthologies where there's like 6 stories and like Ballad of Buster Scruggs, where each one's only like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yes.
And here's my take. I don't really like Ballad of Buster Scruggs that much. It's probably my least favorite Coen Brothers movie.
True, but
yes, I mean, I think it's partly just because you have all these like insanely good films, and then it's like Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, I think we'll make a brief detour to anthology movie there.
Sure.
Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I think, has really great moments, but I think by virtue of it being an anthology with so many episodes, it's very hard for it to stay consistent. And the titular Buster Scruggs only appears in the first anthology episode.
Which I think was the best one of them.
Yeah. Really, everything from there I felt was super disconnected. I think it was very smart for this movie to be essentially 4 anthologies. Or sorry, essentially 3 with 3.5 is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And to have them all, I think, connected in a very readable way. Like I get from the presentation that these are all stories within the newspaper because that's how they're all presented. And I understand that this is the last issue because that's like the bookend of the movie. And by only having that many, it lets you really develop each individual story, and it lets you make sure that the quality of each individual story is up to snuff.
Yeah, I think they all like I didn't feel like I was lacking information on any of them. This movie it was not a very long movie. It was like sub 2 hours, I think. Let me fact check that because I don't know that that's entirely true. But anyways, I thought it felt like long in a good way.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 48 minutes, including credits.
Doesn't feel like that. Feels like it's at least like 2.5 hours.
It felt long in a really good way. In that I felt like I had totally enough time to really get sunk into each of the stories. I think they were all, like I was saying, unique enough that they didn't feel like they ran out of ideas ever. Because sometimes that's the thing with anthologies where it's like you can tell that this one like barely made the cut. You know, like these all felt very fleshed out.
Yes. From Ballad of Buster Scruggs, that happens I felt that with do you remember the guy with like no arms and no legs in the back of the like storytelling mobile?
Yeah.
That was the one where I was like,
Yeah, I remember there was one that was like, they're just riding in the carriage for like a really long time. And then it's like revealed that they're like dead.
No, I like that one. That one was cool. Because
I'm just remembering that one.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do, and I enjoyed that greatly. In fact, I completely forgot that. That might be one of my favorites of the movie.
Yeah, that one was like a good way to end it. Anyways, back to French Dispatch. Yeah, no. Where am I going with this?
Okay, we have to finish. So I'll make the promise right now. We're going to get through all 4 of these anthologies. We got the first one done. Do we want to hit Concrete Masterpiece because it's in order?
Yeah. Let's hit Concrete Masterpiece.
Oh, wait, no. We were on Revisions to the Manifesto, weren't we?
We were talking about it, and then we got sidetracked.
Yeah, let's do a Wes Anderson here and do a little pinboard action.
Right.
And jump into a different one.
We'll come back. Put a pin in that.
Yeah, put a pin in it.
We'll come back to it. Because we haven't talked about Concrete Masterpiece at all.
No. Not at all yet.
This was my favorite one. Yeah.
Could you explain that a little bit?
I'll speak on it.
Yeah. Speak your truth.
Well, okay. For starters, it was really good.
we do this weekly, James. So that's the thesis.
First things first. That actress who plays the prison guard, do you know who that is?
No Time to Die woman.
Oh, I wasn't even going to say that. You know who I immediately knew that as?
Who?
Do you remember when we did a stream on our Twitch?
Yeah.
Do you remember the game Death Stranding, directed by Hideo Kojima?
Yes.
Do you remember Fragile?
No.
From Death Stranding?
No.
It's Fragile, bro.
You're kidding.
The movie started and I was like, what? I felt that way a lot of times during this movie. Like, spoiler alert, when Saoirse Ronan popped up,
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing here? This isn't your movie. Or Willem Dafoe?
Dude, it's so funny because these guys, they like top build. So I was like heavily invested in French Dispatch before it came out.
Yeah.
And I thought that Timothée Chalamet would be like the lead.
So
and
did
that
I.
Saoirse Ronan would be big in it too because she was heavily mentioned.
Yeah.
No clue about Jeffrey Wright. I don't remember seeing his name, but he probably was there. Christoph Waltz shows up at one point.
Yeah. Like a crazy amount of people show up. Yeah, Christoph Waltz did. Edward Norton did. Liev Schreiber did.
Yeah. Oh my God. When Liev Schreiber showed, I was like, what?
Yeah.
How is this guy in movies still?
The dude from that one episode of Black Mirror, Alex Lothar?
Alex Lothar.
He was did you the Shut Up and Dance?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone was in this movie. That was weird. Really good. I mean, it was fun seeing all of them. Oh, Tilda Swinton, of course. Yeah, no, but Fragile. It's Fragile. There she is.
Wild.
Yeah, no, so my thoughts on this one. One, I think all the performances were amazing, right? Lea Seydoux as Simone, Benicio del Toro did a great job. I also just thought it was like a really charming story about modern art, which is sort of like this kind of contested thing. And because I think there's all this commentary about like, oh, well, it doesn't mean anything. It's not real art. And I thought this was a really interesting spin on that kind of like no, this does have meaning. And you sort of get to see that.
But it attacks it from both sides, right?
It does, which is especially, that's the fun part.
Like this has meaning, but at the same time, people exploit that meaning all the time.
Yeah, that was another thing. I also I think part of the reason I liked it so much is because it was the first one. And it had that crazy over the top Wes Anderson violence. Like it had the dry wit. It had everything you wanted. I wasn't crazy about it being kind of framed as like an art I both liked and didn't like the fact that it was like sort of one of those story in a story things where it's this art gallery talk about the artist, but it's also the story of the artist himself. And sometimes when we cut back to the person giving the speech, I was just kind of like, I'd rather just continue the story right now.
But I really liked Tilda Swinton as her character. Like the moment when she's playing the slideshow, and she's showing like all the pictures, and then her like nudes come up. That's so funny.
Yeah. I just think that the chef police one did that sort of framing of story within a story, but better.
Well, and you need all of these stories to be story within a story, because that's the point, is that it's the journalist is the main.
But it was like story within a story within a story.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that the dining room and the police commissioner just did a better job of the story within a story.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm trying to like quantize why I liked the art one. Maybe it was just because I was excited about seeing Fragile, but I don't know. It's like what I wanted from a Wes Anderson story. I guess it was just the right blend of like weird, a little bit like disturbing, and you're never quite sure what's going to happen next. Like I fully thought that the artist guy was gonna like brutally die.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought someone was just gonna get murdered, and it was gonna be really bad. But it didn't happen. I liked seeing the artist kind of get the last laugh. I like seeing him not get exploited in the end by those guys. He sort of, got the upper hand at the end. No, but it was just very good. I like art. I like heists.
I do. I like all those things. And I think that this episode of French Dispatch reminded me of my favorite episode of Love, Death, and Robots, Zima Blue, the lost video essay that has been written but will never come out.
Yes, I remember this.
Zima Blue, for those that don't know, is an episode in the Netflix show Love, Death, and Robots, which is another anthology series, where an artist named Zima Blue basically produces paintings that get progressively more dominated by a blue square. And it's a very interesting meditation on life's meaning and how you can find value in simple tasks like drawing a blue square, and how blue squares and things that are similar in art can still be very meaningful, and simplicity is often filled to the brim with complexity. So a lot of that sort of meditation on modern art, I think we really got to feel inside of The Concrete Masterpiece. And really, Benicio del Toro sells it incredibly, incredibly well. I mean, what a charismatic person to follow this story through. Benicio del Toro is a phenomenal actor, and I think that just generally he did a phenomenal job, really like making me pay attention to the story that was going on. Lee Seydoux, I can't pronounce French, nor do I want to.
I don't know.
She was also great, and I really, really loved her. But I liked the conflict between the artist and the dealer. I thought that was super funny. And it delivered on a lot of the play aspects, again, with some of the moving sets that went on inside of it.
I was just going to say, I thought visually, especially the like sort of montage of young Moses painting in all the different scenes, especially that one where his like eyes are it was the self-portrait where his like eyes are like see-through. That was really weird and kind of a cool look. Just lots of little things like that where I'm sure it was just Wes Anderson being like, no, this has to look this one way, and we're gonna get it. I also wanted to, for some reason, I'm thinking of like typography and graphics in this movie. Because what a style, what a look this movie had.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my God.
Just the weird, like really big, huge, like graphics that cover the entire screen, and there's just like tiny little text boxes. Like it was just really a unique looking movie. And all the different like mediums he blended, especially like that.
Here's the hottest take. Here's the third journalist that I will mention today. Hergé. Who's not really a journalist, but a cartoonist. Hergé is the cartoonist of the Tintin series. I told you I had to get to Tintin.
Oh, Tintin, here we are.
So all of the drawings in the movie, I'm pretty sure, are based off of cartoons from the New Yorker, obviously, because that's sort of what the movie is about, is like his love for the New Yorker. But you get a lot of Hergé's style in the animated sequences. And I think it also drips into the graphic design of the film in general, because, you know, obviously the animation and some of the drawn things are going to match a lot of the other stuff. But specifically some of the animated sequences, I think you get really, really like big, bold colors, not a whole lot of shading, and just sort of stylized, but in a way that still feels livable. That a lot of that is Hergé's style, and a lot of that is Tintin, which I thought was very fun, because Tintin's the boy reporter. He represents like this eternal optimism and this lack of just or this like can-do attitude that can never be broken. And I think that was a very fun thing to sort of include into the animated sequences, and to show that side of journalism, because that's not really the reality, and neither is animation. That
was a searing. That was a good
what a
one.
take. But that's like what I think the ideal is, right? Like that's what everybody wants from a hero journalist, is Tintin. They want that do-gooder boy who will find the truth at any cost. And I loved that part of the film, and I'm so glad it was included, and I'm so glad that for a lot of the visual language of the film, they took inspiration from Hergé, who himself had this really tortured past. There's a very good video on YouTube about it by Breadsword that you absolutely need to watch. But,
I know Breadsword.
Yeah, like it is the best YouTube video that I've seen.
Oh, dang.
Like in a while. I won't say ever, because I would need to look through all my YouTube videos. But
yeah, I was like, gosh, what is the best YouTube video I've ever seen?
But yeah, that's my little take on the visuals of the movie. Is Tintin inspired? Look up Hergé. It's going to make you feel and appreciate a lot more about what some of this movie has.
I never would have thought to make that connection. I've read Tintin, and I saw the movie, that one movie. Do you remember
Oh,
the Tintin movie?
yes, very good movie.
I think I saw it in theaters, and I haven't thought about it since until this moment. I just really like the one picture where the captain, is his name Sinbad?
Uh, no, Haddock.
Who's Sinbad?
Sinbad is one of it. Is that Shazam's dude?
Captain Sinbad is a 1963 fantasy adventure movie. Where did I pull that from?
No, Sinbad is like he's an actor. I thought Sinbad was an actor.
Captain Sinbad. Oh, it's a YouTube channel. Never mind.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, he like I think I saw a video of him like making fun of Jordan Peterson or something. And that was the end of that.
Mhm.
No.
Captain
Anyways,
Haddock.
Captain Haddock. I like the picture where Captain Haddock is at the table and he's like,
Yes.
crazy week, wasn't it? He goes, Captain, it's Wednesday. That's me every week.
So good.
So good. People say that this is Wes Anderson sort of reaching the point of hubris, right? This is too much Wes Anderson. It's like he's reached the saturation point and now it's like it's gratuitously Wes Anderson. What is your opinion on that?
Wrong.
True.
This is Wes Anderson at I think his most boyishly charming. What do I mean by that? Because that's a weird phrase to use.
There's a lot of boyish charm here.
There's a lot of like, it's a kid. This is why I love this movie so much, because this is like what I think the best art does to me, is that it makes me feel hopeful. Like Goonies, my favorite quote of all time is "Goonies never say die," because it's just this childish look at the world that you think, somehow you can make it past all of these bad things.
Does that mean, can you unpack that? Does that mean like Goonies never say die? The way it's phrased could mean Goonies will never like say die to their enemies. Like Goonies never kill? Goonies never kill? Or is it Goonies never give up?
Goonies never give up. They never
Okay.
say die. They never say this is going to die. We're going to die.
I see.
Because, they're stuck underground in a pirate labyrinth.
It's not Goonies don't have like a Batman code where they
No.
Goonies never kill.
That is also very good. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask if you think Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to kill people or not.
No, but I'm so hyped for that movie.
That's going to be I can't wait. We're going to talk about that for sure.
Yeah. But in terms of this movie, the boyish charm, I mean, Wes Anderson read these New Yorker articles growing up, right? And I think that this was sort of his view at a world brimming with life. And in it, all of its weird intricacies and details, all of the strange stories that he read growing up, you get to see the nostalgia of it here. And that look at the past with, eyes filled with wonder. And it's so refreshing to me because I haven't really seen that in a while. So even though Wes Anderson gets very artsy with this movie, definitely this requires a specific kind of person to like. So don't feel bad if you don't like it or you feel like you don't understand it. I hate that phrase in movies. Oh, I didn't understand it. Because I think everyone can come away with it with a different understanding. And if you feel like you didn't get it, that's okay. That's totally a valid take. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna I remember after I watched the movie, I was a little bit worried because I was like, I don't have a deep take. Like I couldn't talk to you about themes and stuff with this movie. It was just really artistically well made. So much love went into the craft. And it's just a really nice, fun movie. So I'm glad that you sort of said that because there are themes, obviously, right? There's themes to everything, but this movie is, I don't think one to be this movie's not emotionally taxing or you know what I'm saying? It's light. It's a light movie, I would say. And I appreciate that. I did want to talk about the usage of color though, because I think that is something very specifically done in this movie. I think I love that this movie has a diegetic reason to be in black and white.
Yes. Oh my! I've been watching so many black and white films recently because I've been watching like all of Kurosawa's filmography.
Yeah.
This is black and white done right in The French Dispatch. This is so good.
And it's because I mean, it's because it's printed, right? It's because these are like printed newspaper stories. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Because I think a lot of movies, like a lot of especially artsy movies, are black and white just to be black and white, right? Just, oh, look at us. Like we're black and white. So I appreciate that this sort of had a reason to. And I think the parts they choose to show in color are very purposeful. Because there's a few color shots in each anthology story. Like you get these occasional shots of the art in the Concrete Masterpiece are done in color to sort of show that like, oh, Simone is his, his like when he looks at her, he's seeing in color, compared to his black and white drab prison surroundings, right? Things like that. Or like when, Timothy Chalamet and his revolutionary girlfriend are riding off on the motorcycle, that's in color because it's like young love. Or I think what was in color in the police one? The food, I think. Shots of the food was in color, which was so good. Oh,
I'm gonna nerd out when we get to the food one. By the way,
I mean, we can get there now. We're at like 45 or so we can we can totally go there.
Yeah, but let's finish up with color because I think that this is a very important thing. Like you're right, the colors of this movie, the moments when they break the black and white are so interesting to me because it's not like a narrative reason to it. In fact, I read one article that said they think the reason why they cut to color when they're in the black and white is because it's showing the effects of these memories on the journalists still living and how it might stick with them and how these were just very impactful moments. And I sort of agree. I don't disagree.
I don't. Yeah, I think that's like a totally valid interpretation. It's probably not mine.
No,
I would be more straight up, just like color for impact.
No, I think it's mainly colorful for impact. And Wes Anderson would be the one to include a deeper meaning, but that's what I got from the film, and I think that's a fine thing to get from it.
Yeah. It's sort of like isn't that sort of like in Schindler's List? It was all black and white, and then there's like that little girl's coat was like bright red.
Stop. Yes, you're right.
I'm remembering that now. There's a lot more discourse around that movie than I thought there was.
Really?
Yeah. Just because, it's sort of white savior-y. We'll talk. This is not the podcast to talk about that. Talk to me about Anthony Bourdain.
Yes. Oh God. Okay. So everybody, I want you to stop watching this podcast right now. Wait. Hold on. I need to explain why. Wait. Come back. Okay. After I explain this, so you need to watch Roadrunner right now because it is a movie about Anthony Bourdain. It's a biography about him, made by the people that did his show and that knew him best. And Anthony Bourdain, for those of you that don't know, was a very famous food journalist, his most famous series being Parts Unknown, which aired on CNN. In it, he would go to all these different parts of the world and he would try their foods. And what I'm describing to you sounds a lot like a travel food show. You're like, didn't Zac Efron do this a couple years ago? Yes, travel food shows are done by a lot of different people. Anthony Bourdain did it differently. Anthony Bourdain had a humanity to him that I think is missing. And like, there is an Anthony Bourdain-sized hole in the world right now, if you have watched his stuff, because he's just that like human of a person. He connected all of these different cultures, and he did like very impactful things where he would go to places in Africa that at the time of filming were like considered like cesspools and like all this racist, mumbo jumbo. He would go there and show like the people. And he would interact with people on that level rather than being like, oh, I'm a fancy journalist from America, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And in the Police Commissioner one, this is a story mainly inspired not by Anthony Bourdain, actually. I believe it was inspired by James Baldwin, was like half of Jeffrey or of Roebuck Wright's character. And then the other half was somebody who I forget. But I got a lot of Anthony Bourdain about this, and I'm going to speak about Anthony Bourdain because I don't know James Baldwin and I don't know the other guy.
Speak it.
But Anthony Bourdain, he was able to communicate something about food that I think is really present in Roebuck's character. And it comes when Liev Schreiber asks him, you've written about civil rights, you've written about all these things, you keep coming back to food. Why? And his answer is so beautiful. It's that he feels like a foreigner everywhere he goes. Like the world is closed off to him. but when he sees an open table, he feels like something is waiting there for him, right? Food's the great communicator. Food is the great uniter. And Anthony Bourdain, and I think that specific sequence of that movie of French Dispatch really makes you feel that. About how something so basic to all of humans, the fact that we need to eat to survive, can connect us in the way that it does and share stories in that way is so just powerful and so beautiful. And that's why I loved that sequence, is because it just shared this very human message of connection, and in a way that also I think shows a lot of the dark sides of food journalists and the food industry as well, because Roebuck Wright has this like sort of tension to him, I feel like, where there's like a dark side that they don't really fully tap into. Anthony Bourdain was that in like a mile more of it. He was incredibly troubled, and he died by suicide because of how troubled he was. So like it touches on that a whole lot. So that's why I really, really like the police commissioner one, is because Roebuck Wright's character, I keep confusing it because Jeffrey Wright played him, is just the most complex, and I think the most compelling, and connected with me the most personally. But that's the beauty of epilogue stories, is that you can connect with them on any other level. But there's my Anthony Bourdain rant.
I was just going to say, I think that was beautiful. That was beautiful. And my only thing that I could possibly want to add is I want to remind the viewers, because I feel very powerfully about the power of food. I think that was a lame sentence. That was a terrible I feel very powerfully about the power of food.
No, that's a quote right there. I'm going to put that in the description.
Can I think for 3 seconds before I open my mouth? I'm very passionate. I have strong opinions on the power of food, because I like to cook, and nothing has taught me more about cherishing the food you have than going to college and eating dining hall food every day. I went home this weekend and I had scrambled eggs on toast, and I put some chives on it, and I had some bacon. I felt nourished. I felt like it's like a warm hug with every bite. Cherish the food you have, people. Food does bring everyone together. Food is beautiful, and films about food capture that and serve it to you in a tightly knitted 2-hour sweater for you to put on like a warm hug.
Oh, I love it.
Can I remind you, dear viewer, one of the few movies that earned the triple 10 from Socratic Cinema. Do you know what it was?
Oh, I know what it was.
It was Chef.
Yeah.
I closed my case.
I think it's a beautiful place.
By the way, French Dispatch, 9.5 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
Not as good as Chef. Apparently, because our rating scheme makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Chef's a very good movie.
I trust whatever past me said. He was probably okay. Yeah, no, I think that's good. Gosh, I'm not gonna lie. I miss Casey. There's a Casey-sized hole in this episode. I felt I had to run, to keep that pace going. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was like a marathon. Jesus. Talking with only 2 people for 50 minutes. How does every Marvel movie ever do it?
How does every Marvel movie ever do it? They make it look so easy.
I know.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you missed Casey as much as I do, so that you'll be sure to come back next week when she returns. In the meantime, I hope we were suitable on our own. I hope we were fine and we filled your quota for Socratic content for the week. On that note, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to let us know how you would rank the anthology entries in the French Dispatch in the comments. Which was your favorite? Which was your least favorite? And why? And tell us why, because that's the most important question you could ask. If you're listening
did you learn anything from the final episode of the French Dispatch? It is the worst question you could ask. It's the worst thing you could do.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Oops. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow so that you never miss an episode and they pop up into your feed every week. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can do the same, but you can also leave us a review and let us know what we're doing bad, what we're doing good, what we're doing everything in between, so that we can improve, and maybe like post your review on Instagram for some fun engagement or something. On that note, segue, Follow us on Instagram at Socratic_cinema so you never miss a post. Follow us on Twitter at Cinema Socratic so you never miss a thought from my brain that probably should have stayed off the keyboard. You can also find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Socratic Cinema. And you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. It's all really easy to find. Patreon is the best and kind of only way to support us right now. So if you feel like supporting the podcast and want to see us grow and prosper and flourish and thrive in this holiday season, and you feel inclined to give, just $1 is all we ask. Just $1 at least is all we ask. And we won't ask you for more than 15 even. We have a very inclusive selection of tiers, and depending on how much you want to support, if anything, you can get access to episodes early. You can get your name in the description and have it read out on the show. You can have questions answered every month on our patron Q&A section. There's a lot to be had there, so I would at least go to patreon.com/Socratic Cinema and just like check it out, feel it out for yourself. Don't let me tell you what to do. But on that note, I think that's everything.
Yeah. Beautiful as always, James.
Thank you. It's sort of, it's like learning how to ride a bike. You know, once you learn how to do it, you never forget how to spiel.
Unless you're me and you are very bad at riding bikes after having learned a long time ago.
I think I want you to spiel next time.
All right, everyone. Hope we had a good Socratic Cinema episode.
We used to alternate the spiels.
Did we? We did.
Way back, we used to alternate the spiels.
And we were a worse podcast then. Because
we were a worse podcast for a lot of reasons. I'm also thinking, I think the last time we did an episode like without one of the members was American Psycho, where I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Will this be the American Psycho of season 5?
Oh no, I hope it was good. Oh gosh.
No, anyways, American Psycho was a phenomenal episode.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like the movie very much, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Well, good night, viewers. Sleep tight. Don't
Love
let
you.
the big ones fight.